This release featured a classic 80s Nike basketball silhouette remixed by New York City graffiti legend Espo. Now, this pair was wild because it was the first Nike basketball sneaker to have see-through uppers, meaning that the toe box, the tongue, and the side panels of the sneaker were clear plastic that allowed you to show off your ridiculously baller socks. Or if you just wanted to be a downright grimy individual and show off your toes to the world, you could do that too. This pair released on the first Saturday of 2004. There was 3 different limited edition sneakers dropping that day. There was the Espo Air Force 2, the Pharrell Williams Dunk, and the Holly Berry Ninja sneaker. Each pair was limited to 1,000 pairs worldwide, and everybody had the Espos at the top of their priority list. Now, San Francisco only had 2 stores that received these shoes. One was the Dark Side Initiative over there in the North Beach area, and the other was Nike Town San Francisco over on Post and Stockton. My buddy Ben and I decided to head out to Nike Town around 7 p.m. that Friday night. And once we got out there, we met up with my homie John, his friend, and his girlfriend, and the 5 of us held down a spot somewhere in line around 150th, right about there. Now, word on the street was Nike Town only received 70 to 80 pairs of Espos, so at that point, we were just hoping for the best. In order to cope with the frigid temperature and the cold reality that we might not even get our pairs, a bottle of Hennessy was passed around the group. And we all know that when you drink something, you eventually have to relieve yourself. So John's homie's girlfriend decided that walking to the Marriott was just not an option. So she opted to do what anyone in her situation would have done, and that's walk right across the street to pop a squat right in front of the Levi's store. Right there next to that fountain that tourists always take pictures of their families in front of. The entire line was impressed by the amount of dams given by her that night. Now, by 6 a.m., the line had extended all the way to the end of Campton. It was around this time that somebody had the brilliant idea of trying to slip from the back of the line towards the front of the line with nobody noticing. And this guy's plan failed after people pointed him out. Then, out of nowhere, a guy who I'm pretty sure was hurt from the wire emerged from his beach chair to toss this guy out of line. Cheers and applause accompanied Herc from the Wire's heroics. And the cutter, he left his umbrella in line, and I was able to swoop on this umbrella once the line had allowed us to progress up to this spot. I figured if I wasn't going to get my shoes this night, I may as well come out of it with a nice umbrella. They started letting people up around 9 a.m., and shortly after that, people began trickling out with their pairs. Most people headed straight for their cars, going home after a long night in line. Others hung around the line hoping to sell their pairs to somebody else who just didn't have a shot. And there were people asking for $400 to $500 cash for a pair of sneakers they just paid $125 for. Stuff like this is the norm today, but this was pretty out of the ordinary for 2004. As we suspected, the Espo sold out before we could get to the front. Luckily, they still had our sizes in the Pharrell Dunk, so we picked those up as a consolation prize. Unfortunately for the people behind us, we got the last of the Pharrells, so they were faced with a really tough decision. Either take the loss or pick up those Holly Berry Ninja shoes. But the messed up thing about these doo-doo brown Holly Berry Ninja shoes was that nobody wanted them. The poor folks behind us spent an entire night in the freezing cold and chose to go home empty-handed. That's how terrible those doo-doo brown Holly Berry Ninja shoes were. Over 14 hours in line, straight down the drain. It sucks, but that's the way it goes sometimes with this sneaker thing. Not for me though, I always get my pair.